The SCADA systems are used to control very important assets. They, as I already mentioned, they typically were traditionally isolated. They have been handled outside of the IT departments. Typically, the SCADA system were owned by the operational departments, and they had their own computer people and handling this themselves. And they have not followed, I would say, the general trends of IT security and handling of IT. For example, passwords. Well, password is not used in a, maybe shock you, but it's really, they are behind with this type of systems. Previously, they were very much use of proprietary protocols and proprietary solutions. This has changed. Today we use standard. You can find the communication protocols on the internet if you look. So it's not very difficult to find out. And they are not handled in a very professional way. This is directly from a report from the Governmental Accountability Office, I think it's called, in the US. So they make an audit of TVA. TVA is Tennessee Valley Association, which is one of the major utilities in the United States. And you can see this is directly from their report. And they find a lot of, let's say, weaknesses and things that could be improved in this area. So what could be the consequences? This is a picture from 2003 in the US, and you see the black area in the northeast part, where you should see New York and Boston. So this was a power blackout in US. It was caused by a blind SCADA system. It was not a cyber attack. It was simply an error in the SCADA system itself. So that the operator, this was in Ohio, that the operators were not aware of that they were losing power lines. They were simply blind to what was happening in the process. And this led to that there was a lot of power generation in the southern state, and this was consumption in the northern states. And the flow of power was redirected. And this took about half an hour. So from that this blackout started to build up until you really had the blackout was half an hour. There was plenty of time to react. But because they were not aware of this, and because they had the SCADA system, they were blind, they could not react. Well, it did not react. So what happened? 50 million people lost power. They had up to $10 billion US losses, but it was also, let's say, consequential damages. The railway system, airport systems, mobile telephone systems, water supply, even gas stations. You couldn't tank your cars because they were driven by electrical motors in the pumps. So I mean, the consequences are really severe if something happens with the electrical system. This is what we want to avoid. There are simple security measures here, but we feel that up to now we have not taken a, let's say, holistic approach of this. We will want to look on all aspects of the system. So these are the strategic objectives of the Viking project. We would like to do a holistic framework, look on the whole system, from substation over communication to the central system. We will build models of society. I will come back to this a bit. So we will be able to evaluate cost for society. We will have a societal model. And so we can come from an attack over the SCADA system, electrical system, to the consequences for society. We will try to come up with mitigation, with counter things, proposals for improvements. And one of our major tasks is to also increase public awareness and simply dissemination of the results.